Let's be honest for a second. When you lose your job, everyone wants to know what your master plan is. And honestly, when that first happened to me, I didn't have no master plan. I didn't have a 5-step strategy, and I surely didn't have anything perfectly mapped out. What I had was a moment where I had to ask myself, what kind of life do I want to build next? And that very first decision I made after getting laid off surprised even me. Hey, if you're new here, I'm Shawnee, and recently my life shifted in a way that I didn't expect. After spending years working my traditional corporate job, I found myself starting over at 51. And instead of pretending like I had everything figured out, I decided to document the rebuild in real time. So this video is going to be about the very first decision I made after everything in my life changed, because that one decision is going to shape what happens next. You know, something people don't talk about enough is when you lose your job, the hardest part isn't the job itself. The moment you realize that your structure is gone, your routine is gone, and you wake up that next morning thinking, okay, so what now? For years, my life had a rhythm. You know, I wake up, I go to work, I got responsibilities, you take care of the kids, you get home, dinner. It was the normal routine we all was used to. And then one day that structure disappears. And when that happens, you have two options. Now, you can stay in this place of shock and uncertainty, or you can ask yourself a different question. What do I want my life to look like now? So the first decision I made was I decided that this season wasn't going to be about panic. It was going to be about intentional rebuilding. Now, listen, it doesn't mean I wasn't scared. Now, let's be real, because when you're starting over in your 50s, there's a lot of thoughts running through your mind. You start thinking like, am I too late to pivot? Should I try to find another job and just play it safe? Is it even realistic to rebuild something at this stage of life? Those thoughts are real and they were constant in my mind. But I also realized something. I realized that if I was going to rebuild, I wasn't going to rebuild the same life that I had before. I wanted to rebuild something different. So I sat down with myself, don't judge me, and I asked myself a question that I think a lot of us are afraid to ask. What do I actually want my life to look like now? Not what society expects it to look like, or I didn't want to play it safe anymore. I didn't want that life, but the version that actually aligns with who I'm becoming. Because the truth is, by the time you're in your 40s or 50, you know yourself differently. You've lived, you've experienced things, you've grown, and I realized something really important. For years, I lived in a structure that made sense, but it wasn't necessarily the structure I would have chose for my life. And that realization for me changed everything. Now, this is the part that surprised people, because the typical advice when you lose your job is to find one as quickly as possible. And I understand why people say that. And for a long time, that's what I did. But it comes to a certain point when I had to realize that I didn't want to rush into something just because it felt familiar. I wanted to take a step back and ask, what if this moment is actually an opportunity? What if this isn't just an ending? What if God hit the reset button? And I know that word reset sounds nice on paper, but honestly, it is very uncomfortable to start something new. But I wanted to give it a try, because it meant when I hit the reset button, it means letting go of certainty and stepping into something new that is completely uncertain. So instead of me trying to recreate that old life, I decided to step into something new, something that I can create of my own. And that meant leaning into things that I was currently doing and quietly in the background, which was content creation, sharing my experiences, and documenting my journey. And being honest about what it really looks like to rebuild your life after a major life shift. Because one thing I know for sure is this. There are so many women out there who felt like I did, that we were supposed to have everything figured out by a certain age. But life doesn't always work that way. And sometimes your most powerful seasons of your life come from unexpected moments. So this season of my life isn't about pretending everything is perfect. It is about rebuilding, learning, and figuring things out step by step. And being open to the possibility that the next chapter of my life could be even more aligned than the last one. Because starting over doesn't mean you're starting from zero. It means you're starting from life experiences. And that's a very different place. So if you're watching this and you're in your own season of transition, it could be either from a job loss or Maybe life forced you into a pivot that was unexpected. I want you to know this. Starting over doesn't mean you're falling apart. Sometimes it means your story is being rewritten. And for me, that first step in the rewrite was simply deciding that this moment in my life was going to be about rebuilding intentionally, not rushing, not panicking, but creating something new. And if you're interested in seeing how this rebuild unfolds, then make sure you subscribe, make sure you like this video, make sure you share, because I'm documenting this journey in real time. And in the next video, I'm gonna share something that completely shifted how I started approaching this new chapter. I'll see you in the next one.